Hello and thank you for joining the first edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm your regular host, Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Nigerian Senate introduces bill to establish Electoral Offences Commission. Femi Falana urges federal government to obey orders of Nigerian courts like it does British courts. And later on the show, EFCC bust Yahoo Academy in Akwa Ibom State. I'll be hanging out with Gani Kayode Balogun and Emeka Madunagu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. The elections in Nigeria are now characterized by violence and irregularities are no longer novel. What is baffling is that no one gets punished for the perpetration of such mayhem on the polling day. Not even the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is empowered to prosecute electoral offenders. But the Senate is taking steps to address this with the introduction of a bill seeking the establishment of the Electoral Offences Commission, sponsored by Senator Abubakar Kyari from Borno State. The bill is titled Electoral Offences Commission Establishment Bill of 2019, has passed the second reading. Gentlemen, we saw what happened in Kogi State. At least we have that report that a PDP woman leader was actually burnt alive in her house. And we've not had, the culprits facing the justice. Normally, police might want to parade people, but we saw the way violence was perpetrated across the states, across all the local governments in the states on election day. And a lot of people will say INEC, while trying to make sure they perfect the figures for election, the logistics and everything, that it's good to unbundle INEC so that the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offences will not lie in their shoulders. Emeka?
Yeah, for me, while you say the bill, I say the bill is welcome, but I feel the bill is dead on arrival. It's not going to achieve anything because, one, we look at look how effective is other agencies. For instance, the EFCC. You find a lot of political interference in the functions of statutory government agencies. It's about those in power. It's about the way those in power are thinking. So if that commission is going to be effective, if that commission is going to be effective, it has to be independent. But I don't know how it's going to be independent. A situation where the Inspector General of Police came out to say that thugs overwhelmed 66,000 policemen is the scandal of the year. It should go down as scandal of the year. 66,000 policemen overwhelmed by ragtag thugs. Now, where are we heading to in terms of sustaining this democracy? This democracy is in its 21st year. It came back to democracy, moved back to democracy in 1998. When government gave indications that we're going to go back to, we're going to drop military rule and move to democracy. And then we still have incidents of rigging, snatching of ballot boxes, killings, and then the smart card readers are as defective as ever. The National Assembly keeps dancing around the issue of electronic voting, independent candidacy, and other things that can strengthen the ballot. So what we do, basically, which is a typical Nigerian thing, is that we still bring it down to the human element, the manual aspect. We're not ready to digitize our electoral system. And so you find out that somebody asks a question, how does INEC arrive at those figures? You saw in Kogi, 30 INEC staffers were said to have been kidnapped. And then came back. They were brought back, and then INEC released results. From where? Who wrote those results? Who compiled those results? What about those who kidnapped those 30, who abducted those 30 electoral persons? Where are they? The people were killed. Do you know Melai said his nephew was killed? Where are the killers? In Rivers State, in Bayelsa State, we saw what happened. The violence in Bayelsa State, the way hoodlums, armed hoodlums, prevented people from voting. So you now see a new tactic. And what is the tactic? Suppression of votes. Make sure that people don't come out to vote. So it doesn't matter. All you just need to do is just be able to get enough votes, at least between the winner of the person declared as the winner of the election and the person declared as the first runner up. So you make sure this person has enough votes to be declared winner, and then has a enough spread, and then also has the difference between that winner and the first runner up is so wide enough that the person can be declared winner. Where are we going to with this democracy? Are we really serious? So I think the Senate should actually look at the review, the amendment of the Electoral Act. It should stop running away from the truth. The Electoral Act needs to be amended. A lot of things have been brought into the Electoral Act. If the Senate wants Nigerians to take it seriously, it should take that Electoral Offences Commission bill into the Electoral Act and then do a thorough amendment of the Electoral Act. Then we'll know that it should be taken seriously.
Osiare, when you look at the dynamics, we've seen violence before now, but we can't make reference to any case that these people, they've been prosecuted and they've been jailed.
They've been punished.
Punished since 1999.
Well, you must understand that the way Nigeria works is that any law will be tested. And once the testing does not really fall within the purview of those in authority, they will amend it. Remember that the original punishments for offenses like this were in the Electoral Act of 1999. It's also part of the system that we inherited, that we also use. There is no way this is just duplicating laws that are already available in other areas of our national discourse. For example, public nuisance, public disturbance are laws under that the Nigerian police are equipped.
Are you saying we don't need this
Electoral
Offences Commission?
We do not need this commission. It's just a duplication of laws that we have. And just trying to create a job for the boys. For you and I know that apart from about 4 or 5 states, all elections normally take place within the period of 6 weeks. What will they be doing for the next 3 years and 6 months? If, let's say the election holds in February this year, and then they pick up some people, they were sentenced, they were jailed.
We have staggered election.
That's what I said. I said apart from 5
months in a period where for a year, a whole year.
I don't think we have such a period.
Oh, there is.
Next year, there's going to be Ondo. There's going to be Edo. And the upper year, there's going to be Ekiti.
But
in between, yes. I'm just giving you a timetable that this thing is staggered.
There is no...
Till even 6 months, Osun will come 6 months before the general election.
But already in the Criminal Code Act, in the Penal Code, you have these laws already codified, already in operation. So I don't know why the Senate has suddenly fallen in love with bills that have to do with setting up commissions. We are talking of cutting the size of governance. You are talking of expanding it, setting up more commissions. It is not about commissions. Even if you like, set up 200 commissions. Look, if the orientation of the average Nigerian is not pointed in the direction of obeying the law, just as simple as obey the law, there's nothing you can do. The number of commissions or bills or whatever you
will not make any difference.
It is about the orientation. I've said it on this program so many times. The orientation. If those at the top, if leading politicians are seen to be orderly, if they guard their utterances, you don't have somebody shouting there will be war. You don't have people threatening that if things don't go this way, there will be mayhem. But you see people saying, please, Nigerians, vote according to your conscience. Please let there not be violence. And if anybody who is connected to you is found to engage in violence, don't try to influence the prosecution. Let the person face the law. So by the time 1, 2, 3 people are prosecuted and jailed, you will see there will be a sea change. Politics should not be a do or die affair. But interestingly, Politics is the most lucrative business in this country. I've said it many times. It's the most lucrative
the only business.
In fact, the only thing competing with politics is crime. It's the only thing competing with politics in this country. But we must remove those incentives that make politicians believe they have the power of life and death, and so they must win elections by all means, even if it means killing as many people as possible. If you are elected as a governor for 4 years, you can only do another term, 4 years. After 8 years, people have been killed for you to get there, and you go. What's going to happen to the families of those people? When you are out of power, then you suddenly now begin to moralize, that our electoral system should be improved. But while you were there, while you were in power, people saw the way you abused power with impunity. And then you're coming to preach to who? So the orientation is the issue. It's not about expanding more commissions and all that. It will only just even put more burden on the economy.
Don't you think this is a backlash of what happened in Kogi and Bayelsa states, that they're looking at it that, if
We have a commission.
the actors are seeing it like, we cannot afford to go to court after this thing. On election day, we must sort out everything. If you want to win, it should be decided whether by hook or by crook on election day. And both parties, they are making contingency plans to foment violence. And the state is looking at how can they win this.
Do you know we have a I don't want to call it commission. You have a body headed by General Abdulsalam Abubakar, basically to ensure that parties obey the rules of the game. And don't forget, they also allow the Buhari and...
It's as if that thing is just from out now.
Yeah. So the same thing will happen.
The people will just come and sign a peace accord, and there's nothing to hold the actors responsible.
Just for the cameras.
Because you know that most in the last 20 years, people have been arrested and have been tried. But you and I know the next thing that will happen. The Attorney General will go to court and do nolly prosecute. And everybody will go. And it's been done before, it will be done again, no matter how many commissions that were set up. And people need to realize one fact, that it's not the law that is the problem. It is us,
yes,
as a people. Because there are, you know the principle of the us and the plastic chair. That's what applies to Nigerians. The us, despite his power, believes that it's being held down by that chair. But you and I know that all he has to do is move his head. And the chair will fall down. Same thing applies. People believe that the small number of politicians are holding our lives in their hands. And we forgot that we have the power of the ballots. That's why every 4 years, somebody that you will not see for the next 4 years will come to you, give you 5,000 to cook a pot of soup, or give you 3,000 to make things, and it will disappear for the next 4 years. It is not by law. If it is not cumbersome, and people can see that the end of this, you will get justice, things will move. But you and I know that people have realized that our people are easily bought with porridge, something as small as 5,000, as 10,000, and they don't have to be seen again. We must continue to hammer these points. It is not about the laws, it's about us.
Emeka, so when we want to address other flaws in our electoral reforms, I feel that this is now the time to start. 2023 election is like ahead of us, but nobody is talking about amending those laws now. Now, a particular bill was sent to President Buhari and it was turned away. And this night assembly, we expect them to do one or two things to make sure that those defective areas that you've spoken about are addressed.
I share your sentiments. I thought that the 9th Assembly should have really started work with the amendment of the Electoral Act. Because in some ways, it also affects them. They may think they are in power, but there are certain things. There are certain things that could stand in the way of them getting re-elected. So there has never been a time we didn't have the lawmakers, federal lawmakers, weren't making efforts towards electoral reform. After the 2015 elections, I think, was it Jega that announced that about, was it 13,000 people or so were going to be prosecuted for electoral offenses? Where are those people?
At home.
In every election, you hear, oh, the police, okay, we arrested so and so number of people. We even see it on TV. I remember some years ago, I saw it right on TV. A man in police uniform, a fake policeman, was chased by policemen somewhere in Kogi State. And he snatched the ballot box, they recovered the ballot box from him, he was apprehended, but we never heard anything about it again. So, why are we just deceiving ourselves? We must deal with the issues. We cannot continue to pretend that all is well. We cannot continue to pretend that all is well. We must decide. If we want democracy, let us work for democracy.
If you want democracy, let us work for democracy. Now, looking at this other parts, you spoke about independent candidacy, and I look at the peculiarity of our political parties. Now we have 91, 92, or 93 political parties. I can't even remember offhand. Now you can see the way the ballot papers looked like for last election.
Pamphlets.
So, what would the position of independent candidacy stand in spite of? Should some of this party should do away with these parties and bring the issue of independent candidacy?
Well, some countries like Kenya have done in their constitution basically to ensure that you must have a certain percentage for you to qualify to remain a political party. I think it's about 10% of votes in the locality. I think we need to look into that.
Because when you do a kind of assessment of the last election, some parties might not get up to 1% of the entire vote.
So that's what we need to look
of
at.
these parties.
And then again, in Kenya, I don't know why I'm going to Kenya today, they are also doing what they now call the inclusion principle. That even with that 10%, you are qualified to certain offices within the new government. Because they are trying to do away with what they call the winner takes all mentality.
Okay.
That if you perform sufficiently well to get 10%, then you've done enough to have a candidate in the cabinet. Maybe a junior minister or a junior councillor, doesn't matter.
Like a coalition government.
So that way, what they are trying to build is that 20 years from now, people will concentrate on the local elections and their local people. And one man who has an idea can win in his own little corner and become the beacon at the center. Right now, local government chairmen don't care about people under them because they were not elected directly by them. So they have no say in who becomes the local government chairman. So we need to not only review the Electoral Act, we also need to start looking outside the box in ways to solve problems that are peculiar to us. We keep pretending that things are okay, but they are not. Because if certain parts of the country are not happy, and they realize that they don't have the figures to make a difference, the next thing they do is go to arms. Because democracy is the job for the majority. The minority will have their say, majority will have their way. Yeah. And if that is done consistently over a period of 10, 12 electoral cycles, the next thing to do is to take up arms. Because they realize they don't have the figures and the numbers to become a major player in decision-making in their own country.
Even the issue of electronic voting and diaspora voting, we need to get to that point one day where Nigerians around the world can also vote, can be part of the electoral process. And then, like, maybe that may also form part of our own inclusion process. Let's get our people all over the world, Nigerians in diaspora, to be part of the voting process. And then we can entrench electronic voting. We can talk more about independent candidacy. Nigerians who have given, so much of the talents to other countries can be part of the system here. They can contribute. They can run for elections. And let us have, benefit of the experience. It's going to really, really help us. We must do something about our electoral system. It's not something.
Because right now, what we are running is basically a winner-take-all mentality, and that will not be in our interest. Because, like I said, if we learn to, because it's the courts really that gave the judgments that allowed the parties to go to the number they are, because you cannot abridge their independence. But we must find a way to make sure that we make a law that says for you to remain a political party, you must, it could be 5%. It doesn't matter. You must get certain percentage of votes to qualify to be a political party, and then you must also get a certain percentage to become either a member of the cabinet or to become a board member somewhere. But it must be enough so that people in one corner who thought they would never be part of the system can now take their own son, give him enough votes to go to the center and be a major player within the context of the power play.
Then I think the smart card reader should be legitimized. I mean, the National Assembly should do something about it. Let the smart card reader become, I mean, let there be an enabling law backing the use of smart card readers so that we gradually do away with this manual register. We do away with it. The courts rely so much on the manual register.
And underage voting.
Of course, definitely, if we digitize our electoral system, it will just immediately remove underage, unqualified voters to be so.
Because in some countries, once you turn 18, you get a letter from the State Electoral Commission
where you have database.
Yeah, so they know how old you are. They know you are qualified.
But all the work the National Identity, the National Identity Management Commission is doing, where is all the data going to? The telecoms companies, all the data.
The banks.
The banks. What can't all this data be mined?
Be synchronized.
Synchronized, mined, and used for the benefit of the nation, for planning purposes, for electoral purposes, for purposes of security, in different areas. We need to align with the 21st century. We should stop making a mess of our country.
Okay, I'm
we
sure
do better than this.
It's like an ongoing conversation from now to 2023. We keep putting pressure on the federal government so that Electoral Act,
on the National Assembly,
the National Assembly and the federal government, so that the National Assembly will not finish their work to take it to the executive. They must, be on the same page so that it's going to be signed into law, so that we'll not experience what we are experienced during the 8th Assembly.
Yeah.
All right, moving on now. Still to come. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana urges federal government to obey orders of Nigerian courts like they do British courts. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us. It's still Journalist Hangout. If you're just joining us now, the seeming penchant for the federal government to obey court orders is becoming worrisome. The recent case with the convener of the Revolutionary Now protest comes to mind. His lawyer, Femi Falana, a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, has accused governments of disobeying valid court orders in Nigeria while it complies with orders from the United Kingdom. In a letter to the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, also a senior advocate of Nigeria, Falana wondered why government did not give any precondition before obeying British courts as it does at home. He cited a $200 million deposit made by the federal government regarding the P&ID case at the Commercial Court in London. What is the source for the geese? Should also what is good for the geese should also be good for the Ghana. Oh, sure. Now, Emeka, a court actually ordered the release of Omoyele Sowore.
Sure.
And it took
Two
days.
courts.
Two courts.
Two courts.
Yes.
Two.
It took days. It took weeks to get there. And they now went the whole hog. A difficult bail condition, a seeming difficult bail condition. The lawyers met it too. And after meeting the bail conditions, the SSS, the spokesperson of SSS, as ridiculous as it sounds, said they don't want Sowore to be released so that a car will not overrun him across the road and or a shorty should
show up.
To show up. So when did we start this kind of double standard?
Yeah, of course, like I said earlier, when we were discussing the first topic, is all our major problems in this country are political. It's about the mindset.
Okay,
of
who is
those
hell-bent in
power.
punishing Omolorele Sowore?
What did you see? What did you see? What did you see last weekend? There was a story. There was a story that went viral that a federal government delegation went to meet with Omolorele Sowore twice to ask him to drop his stance. You are in breach of valid court orders to grant this guy bail, even with the tough orders that said he should remain in Abuja. He should not address any gathering and all of that. You are in breach of that, and you are even confirming it. And a senior journalist in this country was saying that you can't fight the establishment, that government. Excuse me, what is government? Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. It can never be government for a certain class of people. Never. If we get to the point where the government begins to select court orders, I must let you know, we are only preparing the stage for anarchy down the road. It may be 10 years, 20 years down the line. And anybody feels, well, after all, there's a precedent. You know, our leaders are fond of quoting, okay, in so-and-so country in South America, oh, they did it like this. Oh, China, oh, does this. Oh, this. Meanwhile, they've forgotten that we're in the era of fact-checking. When you say something, people quickly fact-check it to be sure whether what you're saying accords with it. And the internet is always there. The internet is always there to bring back things that we thought had been forgotten. So the simple thing is this. Mr. Femi Falana SAN is clearly in order. After all the grandstanding we did on the P&ID case, what happened? We quickly rushed to pay. Because they have clearly said it that they will do what the court, the decision of the court will be implemented. And they have deposited $200 million. Which one is easier to do? Releasing Sowore or depositing $200 million? Which is a threat to the economy? Which one is easier to do? Why not grant Sowore bail? And then you can meet with him privately and discuss with him. What is Sowore even asking for? He's talking of good governance, making the country better for all of us, making sure that there are certain things that are not going well with the country. And we all agree with it. Even the wife of the president some days ago came out to say that things are not working well in the country. Has Sowore said anything different from that? Because he used the word revolution. What is the word revolution? Go to the dictionary. You can get synonyms of the word revolution.
Part of this thing that they have in court is that he met with Nnamdi Kanu. He went to Dubai at a point in time, but basically before going into the substance of the trial, we can't even go into the trial. But they're saying, okay, it's a billable offense. Let it come from wherever, apart from detention, to make sure it stands its trial.
I think the problem we have basically with this government is that they have a deaf and mute approach to things of national interest. They identify only things they want to identify and work with. For example, Sowore is not the first person that the court will say they should release, that they've denied. There are many people still being held by the DSS, by the way, not SSS. Though they have the same parents.
But the law still calls them DSS, SSS.
We need to work. There's a need for us to realize that this government has made up its mind that there are laws it will obey and there are laws it will disobey. Don't forget we said on this program late last year that the tenure of the service chiefs has elapsed. And the law that gave them extension has also elapsed. So whatever they are doing now is also in breach of the law. So it's not only for those who are arrested. There are so many areas of attention within the system that operates that they behave as if the law is a convenient excuse to breach it. And that's what we need to keep working on in such a manner to get results. What Femi Falana said is a confirmation of what we all know before, that the case in the UK, because they are holding the knife and the butter, they can deal with us. But at home, they assume they are the one in charge of powers of coercion and powers of persuasion, and therefore they can do whatever they like. Unless and until they start obeying laws, the time will come that the only reason for their legitimacy, which is the Constitution, will also be disobeyed by the Nigerian people.
Now, moving further now, as in a lot, if you read the commentary from international media and everything, they are very quick to cite this Shore, Agbajalingo, and this other.
There's somebody in Akwa Ibom. The governor that is arrested.
Agbajalingo was.
No, Agbajalingo is in Cross River. There is one boy, a young guy, a banker, who made a Facebook post about Governor Udom Emmanuel, and he was arrested and clamped into detention. There was a student in Kano who was arrested by the police because he criticized the lawmaker. He has been released unconditionally. I think there's a case where it's in Taraba and some other states like that. Governors just misusing their powers. Governors have now become emperors and they think that they can ride roughshod over Nigeria. But I thank God among them there are still governors who are models of excellence, who would rather engage you instead of wielding such powers, because they know that posterity will judge, that the day will come when you no longer
It could be so frustrating. Even the community in which Shore lives in the United States, they gather together to hold protests, the Nigerian government.
Yes.
And
then two congressmen have written.
Yes, I've read the letter of this congressman writing a clear violation of his human rights. And the DSS, they are not saying that, oh, yes, we acknowledge the fact that he has been given bail, but we need people to stand as shorties.
Or that if they release him, he'll be hit by a car.
No, let me tell you something. You know one thing, I was discussing with somebody today, and I was saying,
Mr. Peter Afunaya, I don't know
that our leaders develop amnesia.
It could be
when it comes to issues of state. Do you realize that part of the problem, while Nigeria has not been able to deal with Boko Haram, to get international support for the fight against Boko Haram, dates back to when, was it Obasanjo, invaded Zakibiam, when soldiers invaded Zakibiam. And then, because I did an interview with the US ambassador at that time, I think it was in 2003, and he said that the US senator had been able to get a strong resolution blocking US military support for Nigeria.
For any country
and then,
that this was
where did we find ourselves? With all we did, we keep trying to get international support. But that thing remains a big stumbling block. And we're joking with it because for two congressmen to have written, and they outlined all this, are we waiting for another such blockade to be thrown in our path? And then down the road, we're unable to do certain things in this country. Why do we keep hurting ourselves?
Gani, the problem I have with, Nigerians or people that tend to be governments on the part of supporting the government or against the government, we don't have a clear-cut objectivity that, no, this, that yes, I'm a supporter of this government, but on this, Mr. President, please look into this matter. The Nigerian Bar Association, all the other pressure groups, I don't know why people have not been talking about this Showere's case.
Well, people have been talking, but as the government been listening, it's another thing entirely. But like Emeka said, you have to understand the fact that the Showere case is going to become like a fishbone lodged in the throat of the government, because they now shoot themselves in the foot. And if they are not careful, the damage of holding on to Showere will be far more than the whatever gains they assume they will get by locking him away. And I think right now, they've come to that realization. Because it's not only the way the outside world looks at us, they look at the bad stuff first. It fits into their narration.
Yeah. And we know the young man is not in any way raising any kind of army.
No, do you remember when Professor Shimbajo was acting president? There were some public protests. And what did he say? A memorable quote. We can hear you loud and clear. We'll look into what you're saying. What happened? Did heavens fall? Everything just fizzled out. And the country moved on. If you had allowed the revolution and protest to go on, nobody would have been hurt.
That day, in Lagos, I attended in Lagos, they went up to 50.
Yeah. No building would have been burnt down.
Okay,
simple.
They weren't carrying arms.
We have heard what you said. We will look into your grievances. Case closed. And then you take some steps. But now by arresting Sowore, even some people who never liked Sowore, who never agreed with certain things about him, have now become his supporters. You've now turned him into a hero. And you are now sending high-profile Nigerians to go and negotiate with him. Why do you just engage in knee-jerk actions? And then you put yourself in a tight corner. Why? It has now become a global problem. How are you going to handle it?
Now to release Sowore is a problem. Because Sowore will come out, he'll be as defiant as ever. And he will go out of this country. And not here, because we know a senator who stood in for Nnamdi Kanu. He's still working free. I'm sure the sureties of Sowore will enjoy the same privilege if he comes out. So the reality we face is that government has deliberately created a fandom for Sowore, for people who don't even like him. And it would have been easier if it was alone in Nigeria. But we are talking about people who have never been to Nigeria before, that this thing fits into their narration of what Nigeria is. A lawless country, a country where they don't obey laws, a country where they pick up dissidents.
Violation of human rights.
This narration sticks. They don't care whether you've won football matches at the Olympics or whether you've been to space. It's the one they will remember. It's the one that you don't obey laws. And that is the narration that will carry on our shoulders for the next 10 years. Don't forget, a lot of Nigerians were forced to migrate because they said their life are in danger. This is a confirmation. That is true.
There are Nigerians, of course, seeking asylum in different countries.
And
they will use this.
The man will just say, I'm a friend of Sowore and my life is in danger.
And my life, that's all. So
that's how bad you manage a matter that a small child, a level 101 security officer, will tell you to your face that let the man go.
If you know the number of Nigerians going abroad to seek asylum,
professionals,
not unemployed Nigerians.
GKB, as they will say in the US, they will just say, look, the condition is that you will never go to that country, drop your passport, you never go back to that country, and they will say, wholeheartedly.
You're even talking of the United States. Nigerians are even going to even smaller countries. Togo. Smaller countries, seeking the citizenship of the whole Nigeria, giant of Africa. We are seeking the citizenship of smaller countries in South America. Countries in the old Soviet Republic, Cyprus. That's where we are sending our children to some of these countries.
Mauritius.
What are we doing to ourselves? Simple thing, obey the laws. Bail has been granted to Dasuki, to Zakzaki. Grant them bail. But the court, you presented conditions before the courts. You to obey the law. Don't cherry pick. Because a day will come when you no longer be in power. And then what will you be remembered for? What will history remember you for? Because you cannot be in power forever.
GKB, how can the judiciary, how can the courts ensure that their orders, or government obey their order forthwith? Because it's like undermining the judiciary right now.
Well, there is really nothing they can do as a group. What they can do is as individuals, because in some countries, if you get to a point where your orders are disobeyed consistently, you simply walk away.
Of course, a judge did it in Nigeria.
We know some judges who can do that. That will be the clearest signal that you do not agree that the system we are running is working. Because they've done it in Pakistan, they've done it in some countries. If you have given order 1, order 2, order 3, order 4, and all these have been undermined, the best next thing to do is to put in your letter stating it clearly that I can no longer do this job because I have not been allowed to do this job. That's the only thing they can do as individuals. But as a group, there's nothing they can do because they are held bent by the Constitution to ensure that justice is served. And you cannot compromise that. That's why judges don't go on strike. Because you are going to compromise lives and properties of certain people who have cases before you. And some of these cases will be cases of life and death.
But again, also, I think the judges themselves should help democracy.
Individually.
Some of the conditions they give, you wonder, how come looters, people who are facing trial for corruption, they get light sentence, they can move around. You say Sowore should be restricted to Abuja. But people who are being tried for corruption can fly all over the world. They can be given their passports. They can be allowed to go on medical leave abroad. Why are we making a joke of the judicial system? The judges them should also help us. The judges should also, if you feel that Sowore should be confined to, okay, fine. Somebody facing trial for corruption should even be confined to his bedroom.
All right, finally now, imagine how bold criminals are becoming in Nigeria, such that they run an academy where young individuals are trained about crimes. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested operators of a Yahoo Academy in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The building is allegedly used solely for the training of youngsters in various aspects of cyber crimes, in love scam, online trading scam, identity theft, and so on. EFCC said 23 suspects between the ages of 19, wait for this, and 35, including the operators and trainees, were arrested during the raid. We heard that some of the suspects confessed to undergoing the training. Very bold criminals indeed.
What do you expect?
DKB, we are running a system whereby there is a kind of excuse for these people, or they seek solace in this thing. They tell you that, okay, I'm a graduate, do you have work for me? We are running a system whereby they tell you that, look, I've tried applying for this job, that job, I've not gotten, and out of frustration, yes. Some of them have not even gone into this Yahoo, but they find solace in all these betting companies to keep body and soul together. So invest 200 naira, and by the time you predict 2-3 matches, you get 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. So that is what the life in Nigeria has been reduced to.
Yeah.
Now check out those the age range
19 to 35.
19 to 35.
Active,
the most productive.
And don't forget that
Age range.
Just last week or thereabouts, the Tunji Disu-led RRS picked up some boys who were robbing people in traffic, and their age was, believe it or not, 15 and 17. That's the age of people robbing inside traffic. And so for you to know the level of how low our values has fallen. You and I have been to countries where they have what they call labor offices, where you go to register that you need a job.
Yes.
And they will scout for you. All you have to do is that you will not be choosy or picky. But they will try and get you a job every other week. And if they sack you 3 times, then you're on your own.
$10 per hour, $12 per hour.
I don't want to mention
You can.
I don't want to mention the countries.
And that's, you know.
That's the job of government. You are supposed to train them to a particular level, and then when they are productive years, give them options. Doesn't mean that some of them will not turn out to be criminals, but they must have the option of getting legitimate work. Because I told one governor, and he laughed. I said, why don't you, all the sites, building sites in your states, why not have it tagged and give an office under labor? So when you pick people from there, do you have a job? They said no. This job is available. You have the option either doing this job or going to jail. The choice is yours. So that way we need to understand that we have failed the young generation coming up. The failure is that of government, failure is that because we keep pretending that things are working, but in reality, I'm afraid that the next generation, what the Yorubas will say, they don't care. And if you are not careful, at the end of the day, we'll turn to Somalia or those countries where gangs rule the states.
It's not a very popular option. Yahoo.
No, you see, you have to look at what actually breeds such. What actually breeds it? Because you will expect youths, teenagers, to be in school. Somebody who is 19 to maybe be in school or be finishing
undergraduate,
school, be looking for a job, be an undergraduate. So it's not about, I can't find a job. A boy of 15 years robbing in traffic. It's not about I can't find a job. But the fact of the matter is that the society is broken. The value system does not encourage people to seek noble ends. They see the way politicians and all classes of people throw money around, the way they exhibit wealth that you cannot trace the origin. They see all these things and then they wonder, why should I be left out? Why should I be left out? So, if you're on social media, you have an account on social media, you see all kinds of people wanting to become your friend, and you look at their profiles. You even see some people making some kind of business offers to you, and you wonder, I don't do this kind of business. I don't know what you're talking about. But they never get tired. You block them, so they don't get tired. They keep changing names. But I must commend the EFCC. The job they're doing is not an easy one. I mean, it's not an easy job. But you see, I must tell you something. I engaged a banker recently, and I just asked him, okay, if somebody wants to start up, a factory, a small factory, just needs about $1 million or so. He said, you know what shocked me? He confidently looked me in the face and said, we don't have a policy. This bank doesn't have a policy of supporting startups. And I looked him in the face, a young man. I said, and you can tell me that?
That is the policy.
Doesn't have a policy of supporting startups? And then, when these boys set up their own startups, and they are trained on how to fund their startups, and they clean the accounts of your customers through phishing and other methods, then you tell customers you don't have a policy of supporting startups, but fraudsters are running their own startups and dealing with your own banking system. Why not reconcile something? Why not make sure that you change that policy, fund startups, encourage people to even go into...
I think there are specialized banks for that.
Micro-production.
Yeah.
All banks should be engaged in it. There is no barrier on the kind of Nigerian that can go into bank. They even tell you that even when a child is born, a child is, just an infant, you can open an account in the child's name. So if you can open an account in the child's name, you cannot encourage the parents to go into business. You cannot encourage the parents to go into production. What are we talking about? They must open their vaults and let Nigerians be encouraged to go into production, to go into agro-processing, to go into agriculture, to go into different areas of production. We must stop deceiving ourselves that we can just pretend that these problems will go away. These problems will not go away, no matter how much we analyze them. Look, you see why it looks like it's a distant reality is because these boys have not been able to successfully bring down a bank. If they go to the point of bringing down a major bank in this country, then we will know.
Government reacts.
We will know the danger we will know how dangerous this issue is.
They have role models. They have people they look up to. And they see those ones thriving, riding cars, building houses and everything. That's why you can tell the younger ones that, okay, I have a school for this. Come and enroll in my school. You can use that opportunity to collect money from them. And you even
the academies are everywhere.
Don't forget that there was a time we said on this program that they are mothers of Yahoo boys.
Yes, who formed an association.
And don't forget, a few years ago, there was a state notorious for human smuggling. Young girls to Italy, from prostitution to Dubai, to Saudi Arabia. So the problem cuts across.
Yeah.
And we cannot keep nitpicking. Yahoo is just the latest in the form of people trying very hard to break the system. Because the Nigerian elite have made it impossible to legitimately break into the rank. We're doing normal work. Now what people do is find ways to cut corners, to belong. And they are getting younger, and that's my fear. Because when you see a 19-year-old boy telling to your face that his next target is a Mercedes-Benz, and you wonder, when you are 19, you are even thinking of a rally bicycle. Somebody at 19 is thinking of a Merc. And I said, do you know what Merc is? He said it's a Benz, a 350.
500.
And I said, at 19. And I told him that if your father should earn $1 million a year for the next 30 years, you will not be able to buy that car. So what are you going to do? You have no skill. You have no knowledgeable elements.
Nothing.
And yet you want to ride a Merc in less than a year. We are creating a value system that discourages hard work. Well, in the Nigeria of old, don't forget the one Obasanjo said in his book, that he was queried for buying a car in the barracks. But he has to show proof that he got the money from the bank. And the bank manager has to come to his quartermaster general to testify that, yes, we gave this loan based on his salaries. How many soldiers can claim the same thing today? How many public officers can tell you to your face that the money they are earning corresponds to what they are spending?
The properties they have.
It's only in Nigeria that you know will be a permanent secretary at 500,000 a month with 4 children in Canada and 2 in the UK. That the entire tuition alone, he cannot earn legitimately in the next 500 years if he works for 24 hours. So what do you want the young boys and young girls to do?
The society, government, parents.
All of us are to blame.
Children mimic what their
All
parents
of us
do.
are to blame. We must build a society that brings up the younger ones to embrace values. We must build a society that frowns on illegitimate acquisition of wealth. We must build a society that encourages good work, hard work, and a society that does not just live on moralizing.
People don't ask questions.
Because if you see the last recession, the recession actually dealt with a lot of Nigerians. 9 million people lost their jobs, lost their businesses. A lot of them migrated abroad. But what about those who couldn't migrate? Thrown into huge debts and all of that. Depression. A lot of people got broken. Their health-wise and all that. They got broken. And then you see these younger ones, they now tell you, me, will I go through this? They look at the old men and women on queues, begging for their pensions.
Yeah.
And then they see in the news that a governor allegedly paid himself 300 million naira before he left office as pensions. And then pensioners in that state, pensioners in that state,
240 million a year.
Pensioners in that state cannot get their pensions. And then he tells you, so you want me to go through this? No, it's not possible. So the solution is in our hands. It is not a foreign solution. It's a homegrown solution. We must decide if we want to build a Nigeria that is sustainable, a Nigeria that will encourage the youths to be proud to be called Nigerians.
Emeka Madunagu, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Osiare.
Always a pleasure.
Ganika Balogun, thank you. And that's where we draw the anchor of today's show. And you can join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 and also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria and bye for now.